Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to episode 99 of the Snowflake Viewpoint. We cover UK news. Got quite a bit to talk about today. It is the 28th of April 2025 at 8 PM UK time. We are dual streaming live on youtube.com/ReganElite and on twitch.tv/ReganElite1 if you're either on either platforms. If you're on Twitch, hit the follow button, share, be greatly appreciated. If you're on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, the usual stuff on there as well. Good evening, Dave McGuinness. Good to see you, buddy. Great show with you. We're with you with the two Davies, as always. Guys, do check out youtube.com/the two Davies. Every Monday and Thursday, I have a show at 4 PM. And every Monday to Friday, they have a Dave McGuinness does the paper reviews at 10:30 AM. So please don't miss that. If you can, please attend it. Otherwise, you'll be on the naughty step. You don't want to be there. Trust me, you really don't. Right. Have I covered everything? Yes, I've covered everything. Right. We'll start with the local elections, guys. So as you guys know, there's quite a lot up for grabs. Is it really game? I don't consider local elections game changing, but they do hold quite a significant sway in terms of how political parties will react and respond after these local elections. They definitely will shake things. I'm still even after everything that I've heard, I'm still not convinced that it's going to be a completely sweeping reform. I'm still not sure about that, but I think this is a very good. I want to share before we look into. There's a brilliant piece that we're going to look at from the Financial Times from Sir John Curtice on the from the FT, and he talks about the political shake-up of the local elections. But before we do that, let's have a listen to a breakdown here of the 2025 local elections explained here from Sam Coates of Sky. I do think these really do help break down a little bit more to us when it comes to these. I really am hoping the Greens do have a good run, but we just don't know. But anyways, let's have a listen as we head towards the local elections, guys, coming this Thursday.
Can Reform UK turn votes into seats and from there into power? How far do the Tories have to fall? How unpopular is Labour now it's in government? Find out the answer to some or all of these on local election day on May the 1st. Now then, there'll be three types of election. Look at this. 23 councils are up for grabs, mostly in places that we once called the Tory shires. And then Doncaster. That's a Labour-held borough council. Now, Kemi Badenoch, the Tory leader, claims that they could lose all of the councils that are currently under Tory control. Then there are the mayors, four of the new powerful metro mayors, two of which are holding elections for the first time. Now, these figures are big names in our politics, and there'll also be two directly elected borough mayors on the night. Thirdly, there's a by-election triggered after the Labour MP Mike Amesbury resigned in March. He had been found guilty of assault after being filmed repeatedly punching a man late at night. Now, look at this. This is the
Before we go any further, so the Rubicon by-election, it was very interesting that Aaron Baswadi from Navarra Media, he went down there. There's a video, do check out, I do recommend checking out his video of him actually going down there and talking to local people. It was very interesting to hear some of the reactions of how people in the town feel. There was a lot of, pretty much the majority of people were not feeling Labour at all. They're not feeling Labour at all. There was one or two who were voting for them, not because they wanted to, but because they didn't like Nigel Farage. They didn't like Reform. There was one person who was out for the Greens, and there was quite a few people who were going to vote for Reform. There was one young man who he spoke to, even though he wasn't registered to vote and he was still underage. He was asked, like, who would he vote for? Nigel Farage. And he says, like, he just likes the guy. And that right there speaks a lot of volumes, yeah? Guy who has, the young guy basically has no interest in politics anyway. I could tell by his attitude and the way he was answering the question. But even so, the fact that he's heard of Nigel Farage, That speaks the volumes of the campaign that Reform are doing. And Nigel Farage is a figure. You know, he doesn't like policies are all well and good, but if you don't have a platform, if you don't have the platform, the likes of Nigel Farage, you're not going to appeal to people. You need to have that audience, that grass. This is my biggest crux that I have with the Green Party. For all the flaws, this is the biggest flaw that the Green Party in England have. This is their biggest flaw, and that is their social media. If they got the social media right, they could trump. I generally believe they could trump Labour, because you combine a good social media with their policies, and their policies will win over people. Their policies would win over people. The problem is, if you ask any average person on the street, when they think of the Green Party, like people who aren't even political, when you think of the Green Party, they just think they're green. They're just a bunch of Greenpeace or environmentalists. There's so much more than that, but people don't know that. So it's a big worry there. Good morning, Steve McMahon, over in New Zealand. Hope you're doing well. Sean Wall, good to see you there. Hope you're doing well, and Stephen Banker as well. I'm not expecting one of our moderators, Jao, to turn up tonight, because obviously he's in Portugal. As you guys know, there's major power outages there. So hopefully he's okay, and his friends and family are okay, and hopefully they'll get the power back on soon. I really am hoping they'll get the power back on soon. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the Snowflake Corner, just for reference there, guys, as well.
The council elections. And this is what happened in 2021, when these councils were last up. And that means this is the baseline that we'll measure the results against on the night.
2021, it feels like such a long time ago. It's so much different now, the Conservatives, so much different.
And notice the Tories. They're defending so many seats that logically they're also the ones facing the biggest losses, and that could be well into the hundreds, says Sky's Michael Thrasher. But I want you to look at this as well. It's Reform UK. It barely existed in 2021. That's why they are on 0 seats. Now, this slide is why this set of elections is going to be so interesting. 2021, as we were saying, is when these councils were last up, and then the Tories were riding high. They were having their best night for 13 years. Labour, by contrast, were doing so badly that Keir Starmer considered resigning the weekend after. Now, that's how the politics was then. This is how the politics has changed in our latest poll. And we have the new party out in front, Reform UK, from nowhere in 2021 to first place.
That's so bad. That is so bad. Like I said, they've got the Nigel. It's not just Nigel Farage, it's the social media factor. You know, they appeal to people. And with local elections as well, not everyone's got their eye on the ball. It's so frightening. And this is coming from YouGov, as not just Sky, but YouGov. And YouGov are very good with their polls as well. There's still 20% of morons voting for Conservatives. I don't know why, but still.
Labour also down a bit, and the Tories, well, they're plummeting compared to 2021. They pretty much halved their vote since then. And it's Reform, if you look at this, who are putting up the most candidates of any party. They're now contesting 99% of all the seats.
And that will have big significance. That could make quite some changes in terms of other seats there. I really hope the Greens get some of this. I really, really hope so, guys. But it's very, very worrying indeed.
And this is why it's a test. Votes don't always mean seats. Now, look at this snapshot from the past, 2013. And it's the same set of council elections again. Labour got 21% of the vote and 21% of the seats. But Nigel Farage's UKIP, look at this. They got 21% of the vote and 8% of the seats. Then there are the mayors. Labour won all 4 that were contested last time, although one has since stepped down. Could Reform UK get its first taste of power in Lincolnshire? Or could it even get power in the Runcorn by-election? Now, that would be a massive long shot. It's Labour's 49th safest seat. But this North West constituency could be the most important moment of the night. Labour insiders still tell me they're hopeful of clinging on. There are signs our politics could be changing profoundly. May the 1st could point to a new future.
Very, very worrying indeed, the Rubicon by-election. But we've seen overturns like that before. We've seen them be overturned before. So it's not impossible whatsoever. It really, really is not. And following on from that, the UK faces the biggest political shake-up in 100 years as the local election resumes, says Curtice. Veteran analysis comments come as voters prepare to go to the polls in England on Thursday. Britain could be facing its biggest political shake-up in 100 years, one of the country's top electoral experts said on Sunday, as Conservative arguments over possible pact with Nigel Farage to reform UK's rage in public. So John Curtice, speaking ahead of the round of the English local elections on Thursday, said 5 parties were now seriously vying for votes, threatening the Conservative Labour duopoly that had dominated politics for a century. He said Farage's right-wing populist country, which leads Labour and the Conservatives in some national opinion surveys, was outpolling its UKIP predecessors, while the Liberal Democrats and Greens were showing strong levels of support. I really hope they do well. I really hope the Greens do well. Curtice, a veteran election analysis, told the Financial Times that the old left-right divide no longer explains British politics, and that cultural issues were now a key factor. Politics is no longer one-dimensional, he said. Yeah, what's the one thing that really does shape people when it comes to their mind? Is migration. Migration is one of the big factors that you hear all the time. And it's not really just the political parties, it's the media. The media bigs it up so much more than some of the other key issues that are taking place. And I hate that we are talking always about culture wars. It's such a nonce. It's literally these culture war things. They are a distraction from the real issues that are affecting people, and it's become the normal. It has become the normal, and it's so depressing. Because rather than talking about the cost of living crisis, rather than talking about ensuring that we have a better healthcare service, better schools, dealing with crime, some of the basic things that people need, our local councils, like Labour are talking about these things, and maybe they are doing some things in the background, but the thing that crosses people's minds is immigration, and that's the one thing I hate hearing about all the goddamn time. And the right wing constantly amplify it up in the newspapers and in their media channels, and the news outlets, their right wing news outlets. So they always keep immigration and migration in the conversation. And unfortunately, another piece that I'm going to be sharing with you guys later on plays into that. The conditions are there for the biggest challenge to the political conventions of the British politics since the 1920s, he added, with both Labour and the Tories shedding core voters and polling in the low 20s. The Conservatives, who are defending almost two-thirds of more than 1,600 seats up for grabs in Thursday's local elections, are braced for a hammering, with Reform challenging the Remain right-wing party across many areas and the Lib Dems targeting big gains in the south. Elections will be held for 23 councils and 6 mayors in England, with about one-third of electors in England eligible to vote. Reform, which hopes to win some mayoral contests, it also seeks to beat Labour in the Rubicon and Hasby parliamentary by-election on the same day, which we just saw. Excuse me. The Tory leader, Kemi Bagnott, has admitted that the election in Shire counties and local elections will be very difficult, and her problems have been exacerbated by leading Conservative speculation on future deals with Nigel Farage. This is excuses already coming in for Kemi. She knows she's gone. I hope after these local elections she does get the boot, because she's been shit. She has been absolutely shit for the Conservatives. She's not their leader. She's not a leader. She's not a leader in any way, shape, or form. She's not fit to be a shadow. She's certainly not fit to be Prime Minister. She's not fit enough to be a political leader. She's just a grifter. But the problem is that you're going to be putting in someone like Robert Jenrick. But the good news is Robert Jenrick is also an idiot. So, and I do think Robert Jenrick is an idiot. So he was likely to. I can see after these local elections, Kemi possibly facing a booting if they get a thrashing, which I'm hoping the Conservatives do get a proper thrashing at the local elections. Hopefully not. I would rather it be at the expense of Greens and not Reform, if I'm honest. But they're not doing anything to appeal to people, in my view. Lord Ben Halshan, Tory mayor of Tees Valley, told the BBC on Sunday that his party could do a deal with Farage at the next general election in the event of a hung parliament in order to keep Labour out of office. If at the next election there's another MPs in the Tory party and reform that create a significant majority, then obviously there's going to be a conversation to create a coalition or some kind of pact, he said. Next general election must be held by summer 2029. I'm talking about the practicalities of keeping Labour out of government, he added. Baganout has ruled out national pact with Farage that could unite the right, noting that Reform leader has vowed to destroy the Conservatives. Yeah, just because he said that there doesn't mean, like, let's be clear, yeah, Reform would not turn down the opportunity for power. They would not turn it down. And the Conservatives, and those in Conservatives who have reservations about Reform, you know, they will not turn down power. They will sacrifice. They will make sacrifices to gain a slice of power again. Because let's be clear, the Conservatives were expected to not be in power for a long time after the last general election. They will not expect, like, if the opportunity came in 2029 against all the odds for them to be able to be in power again after 4 years, after what they have put the United Kingdom through, put us all through after 14 goddamn years, the very possibility that they could be in power, share power with Reform, that's frightening. Kevin Hollingreich, a Tory Shadow Community Secretary, said, "There will be no pacts with Reform. How can you have a pact with a party that wants to nationalise last waves of UK industry and privatise the NHS and seems to favour Vladimir Putin over Ukraine?" Well, they'll bite their tongue, Conservatives, if it means them getting power. They will bite their tongue, guys. However, Baganout conceded on Sunday that Tory councillors could do deals with Reform at a local level after the first election to deliver their policy goals. "I'm not going into any coalition with Nigel Farage," he told Sky News. "At the local level, it's different. At the moment, we are in coalition. At the moment, we are in coalition with the Liberal Democrats, with independents. We've been in coalition with Labour before at local government level," said Baganout, whose leadership come under fresh pressure if the Tories perform very badly on Thursday. A lot of people who are in Reform are now defected Conservative councillors, so they probably worked with some of these people before. And what I'm hoping is that a lot of these who did defect, I hope they get kicked to the curb, because it would be because it's how much of them are people voting because of the people who voted on a council level. They voted for the party. They didn't vote so much for the person, did they really? Like that's the thing. Like, a lot of them will want to still be Conservative. So it's possible that some of those Reform councillors, I really do hope they do poor in the councils. I really hope they do poor, because it will show that for all the bluster about Reform UK and the high votes, they don't have the grassroots campaign. And they haven't won that many council seats since the general election. That's the key thing as well. It's important to remember that, yeah. They have a lot of the council seats they've gotten have been, as it says here, been defective. They've won a couple, but they haven't won, they haven't got the levels that even the Green Party, who have more than 800 council seats, they haven't got that level. And for all the polling, you would think that they would overtake the Greens, the Lib Dems in terms of council seats at least. But they haven't done that. And that speaks a lot. I mean, yes, there is over 1,800 council seats up for grabs here. I mean, what's the number that we expect them to get? At least 1,000? You would expect them to get 1,000? I mean, what if they get less than 500? Is that still positive? Pat McFadden, the Cabinet Office Minister, told the Financial Times the Conservative Party is one of the most successful parties in the Western world, but is currently having a negotiation with itself about whether or not it can ever win again. It seems to be going through a public crisis in confidence in the middle of a local election campaign, one of the most striking things that is playing out in public. McFadden admitted that Labour also faced a big challenge to defend seats on the May the 1st, with public support dropping since it won power last year. He said the party had inherited a difficult situation, but insists it was starting to make progress on bringing down the NHS waiting list. Yeah, some of your policies have been so has been so ridiculous that you don't deserve to make gains, Labour. You really don't deserve to make gains. They do not deserve to make gains in these local elections, Labour. I'm sorry, but if you're going to make lives difficult for trans people in siding with a terrible law, if you're going to make it difficult for people to gain their winter fuel payment, if you're going to to enable the longevity of child poverty by not removing the 2-child benefit cap, like if you're not going to make changes to ensure, if you're going to make it difficult for people to claim disability benefits on PIP, that will force people out on the street because they cannot afford, because they won't be able to meet the thresholds. Like, I'm sorry, you don't deserve the votes. You just don't deserve the votes, no matter all the other good stuff that you may be doing. Like, and there are some good policies and good things that Labour are doing, but these negatives far outweigh them. They're far outweighing them, and that's the sad reality. Here comes the Reform Labour or Reform Conservative coalition. Me thinks this is by design because it certainly seems like. I don't agree whatsoever of a Reform Labour coalition. Possibly in Scotland, but not here in England. I don't see that. I can't see Sir Keir Starmer and Labour doing that if that was to happen. I don't see it. Maybe on the councillors level, possibly. Stephen Banker on the councillors level, yes, but not on a wider scale. But I'm pretty sure that's what you meant on that. If I'm honest, there. I'm sure I might cover 1 or 2 bits on Wednesday before the local election on it as well. As for where I'm going to cover, where am I going to cover the results? I probably will cover it on the Good Morning on Thursday morning with you guys on the Good Morning show. I won't be able to cover everything, but I'll cover some of it obviously there, and we'll break down a bit more of it on Friday morning show. That's as well, guys. That's what we'll probably do there. So let's move away from the local elections. There's obviously lots of other things going on. This is a very, very interesting exclusive that the iPaper seem to have picked up here. So Elon Musk's legal bill to help Tommy Robinson likely to top £120,000. So the iPaper has revealed that Elon Musk was bankrolling some of the far-right figures' legal fees back in January. Now the two face court bids, and the paper looks at the money trail between them. So apparently, according to them, Tommy Robinson has already been getting financial support from Elon Musk. Now we know that Elon Musk is actually a fan of, has been a fan of Tommy Robinson, because the fact that Nigel Farage denounced Tommy Robinson because he knew he was too toxic, Elon Musk did not approve of that, and he said he wasn't fit to, saying Nigel Farage wasn't fit to be leader. Let's be clear, Tommy Robinson is in my opinion, a threat to the United Kingdom by his language and by his tone, by things that he has said, by some of his actions, his complete disregard for the law and for the courts when he is asked to not do something and he goes ahead and does it. He is a dangerous man. Tommy Robinson is a dangerous man, and that's why he's in prison. And unfortunately, because of people in power like Elon Musk, he's still being allowed to have a voice. He's still being allowed to have a say. You know, him having his X account has influence on others. It's dangerous and it's terrible. Twitter is so problematic. It's so problematic, guys. I think someone was saying, like, when we were talking about social media before, people were saying about how important it is that Europe has its own social media rather than relying on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram and all these lot. And that's true, but the problem is it takes time to build up those platforms, and you need to have companies invest in them as well. They are not things that could be built in a day, unfortunately. They just can't. So let's read a bit more into this, you guys. So, Elon Musk's bill for backing the far-right leader Tommy Robinson's legal cases is likely to reach more than £120,000. So earlier in April, Robinson lost his appeal, attempting to shorten his 18-month prison sentence for contempt of court for repeatedly libelous allegations against a Syrian refugee. Now it was the second court defeat in less than a month for the former leader of the now defunct English Defence League, after he lost a legal challenge to his forced segregation in HMP Woodhill in March. In January, the iPaper revealed that Musk had agreed to fund several of Robinson's key legal battles. Robinson, whose real name is Stephen Yackley Lennon, is also engaged in a legal challenge after being charged under the Terrorism Act for failing to provide the PIN for his mobile phone. Post shared on Robinson's Telegram channel stated, "We are grateful to Elon Musk and his team at X for agreeing to provide support to Tommy Robinson for two specific legal cases. Those cases bankrolled by Musk were set to include those which challenged the treatment of Tommy while in prison, and the terrorism case Robinson is due to be released from prison in July." Yes, you can see see that post there on whatever Telegram is on. Good evening, Ginger Lefty. Hope you are doing well. While Musk has never commented on the funds, the advisor to Donald Trump and owner of social media app X has been a vocal supporter of Robinson. The tech billionaire first began posting about him on social media in the wake of the Southport riots before calling for Robinson to be freed from prison in January. He says, "Why is Tommy Robinson in a solitary confinement prison for telling the truth?" Musk posted on January the 1st, "He should be freed, and those who covered up this travesty should take his place in that cell." Based on what? Like, what? He has no knowledge of this, and he literally just started talking about him completely out of the blue. Completely out of the blue. He doesn't know anything about Tommy Robinson. Just goes by everything on social media. The public support has continued. Last week, Musk shared a post made by Robinson's team on X. The post made claims without providing evidence, again, about media cover-ups of an alleged white genocide in Musk's country of birth, South Africa. Yeah, South Africa has constantly has denied this again. Like, unless you have like real proper evidence of this, like, yeah, this is the key thing. This is like Israel saying they've hit a Hamas command center without providing evidence. Musk's funding for Robinson appeal is not the first time his financial interventions have failed, and earlier this month the billionaire spent millions of dollars attempting and failing to block Liberal candidate Susan Crawford from winning her seat in Wisconsin's Supreme Court. Musk donated $14 million to his preferred candidate's campaign and flew to the States to personally award two $1 million checks to a pair of voters. And it is not known precisely how much Musk has gifted to Robinson, but his team initially set up a crowdfunder to seek $125,000 from his supporters. And there it is. There's the an archived screenshot of Robinson's legal bill crowdfunder, which was saved in October. The iPaper checked the progress on it this morning of November the 30th of November, and the amount raised stood at £104,000. Good evening, Man133. Hope you're doing well, buddy. People think he's their saviour. They think he's their saviour. A plea to Musk to help with funds was made in January, but one close supporter of Robinson. For each of these two battles, we need both a solicitor and a barrister. They're different people in the UK, so we're crowdfunding 4 different lawyers. Frankly, we need help, Robinson's ally wrote to Musk on X. Given the levels of legal representation Robinson has previously had for his court battles, one law expert told the iPaper that $125,000 would be approximately the cost of funding his legal battles. Obviously, not everyone who is challenging such a case can afford this sort of representation or get that level of support. Generally, you would expect such as a case to be dealt with by a junior barrister and solicitor, the legal expert said. Imran Ahmed, chief executive of the Center for Countering Digital Hate, highlighted that there is a potential financial incentive for Musk's seemingly cozy relationship with Robinson. He said Musk's decision to publicly support the notorious racist is shameful, but unsurprising. The hateful rhetoric of Mr. Yaxley Lennon on X also benefits Musk financially through advertising revenues by generating controversy and outrage that drives eyeballs and attention. Yeah, Tommy Robinson does because of his massive following. You know, his tweets generate money for the platform as well. Last week, the presidential advisor who heads the controversial Doge announced that he would be stepping back from his role after growing cross-party criticism of his actions, including the termination of Yale Lab's Ukraine program, which was revealed by the iPaper. The departure of Musk, who is also chief executive of Tesla, concedes with the car company reporting a significant dip in revenue and profits in the first quarter of the year. I wonder why. Concerns over his support for extremist figures such as Robertson frequently has been raised, with Musk at one point appearing to perform a Nazi salute. Yep, members of the far right welcome his apparent endorsement of their beliefs, but Musk has since repeatedly denied that it was intended as a far right symbol. Well, they don't see it like that. Both Musk and Robertson were approached for comment, and of course they did not respond. What a surprise. Yep. That's very, very worrying indeed. But Muskie was friends with the servants, so he must be a good person. Yeah, he must be a good person, surely. He must be a good person. Very concerning indeed, obviously, that Elon Musk is keen to get to help Tommy Robinson's legal case here. But he's going to be out in July, so the tweeting... So, yeah, the problems are only going to get worse, unfortunately, guys. Good evening, Alistair Keir. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Good to see you there. Once again, just a reminder for those who don't know, obviously we don't expect one of our good and friendly moderators, Jao. He's not going to be here obviously tonight. If for those who don't know, wondering why, there is a blackout taking place across Portugal and Spain right now, and obviously Jao is in Portugal, so we just hope that he's okay and all his friends and family are okay, and hopefully the power will get restored at some point. And hopefully he will be back joining us in the live streams in the future. So hope thoughts and prayers with everyone in Spain and Portugal as at the moment right now. So when I was saying about migrants, this is the thing. When you hear stories like this, it just continues to rile up people. Migrant crossings hit 10,000 so far this year. This is from the BBC. See, this kind of statistic is exactly the kind of thing that the likes of the Daily Mail, the Telegraph, the GB News, they're planting in front of people and saying, look how many people are coming. They're destroying our country. All our problems are because of immigrants. All our problems are because of migrants. Blaming these people all the goddamn time. Always blaming the migrants. It's just terrible. Then the thing is, and this has been mentioned as well by a couple of other YouTubers I was listening to as well, like, we don't have enough workers. We don't have the workforce. Like, and if we we're gonna make ourselves poorer by not having more workers from abroad. We need more work. And a lot of these people can actually contribute to our society as well. I really wish, we would just give them, we could give them the opportunity to work. Taking away their rights to work, it's so infuriating. It saves so much taxpayer money as well. All how the Democratic Penguin Republic says Alistair Keir, elbows up for the candidate. Yes, best of luck to the Canadian elections as well. Thank you so much for the £2 super chat, Alistair Keir. Very, very, very generous of you. Much appreciated, my friend. Thank you. And we do have a very, very important video regarding the Democratic Penguins Republic at the end of the show. So do stick around for that if you are a supporter of the Penguins. So the number of people who have crossed the English Channel with small boats in 2025 has exceeded 10,000, an increase of about 40% compared with the same period last year. A total of 247 people crossed on Sunday. 247. Taking the total to 9,885 migrants, the Home Office has recorded arriving in the UK since the start of the year. More than 200 people made the crossing on Monday, taking the figure over 10,000 in 2024. That figure was reached on the 24th of May. Home Office spokesperson said the government was strengthening international partnerships and boosting our ability to identify, disrupt and dismantle criminal gangs while strengthening the security of our borders. Labour's campaign at the July election was to smash the criminal smuggling gangs after a surge in small boat crossings since 2018. Well, that has failed miserably, hasn't it? How's that going for us, you guys? Steve McMahon, thank you so much for your support for the Democratic Penguins Republic with your £2 super chat. And you were very generous. You were already very, very generous this morning. Both you guys have been generous this morning. So thank you guys for your support. I really, really appreciate it. Very kind of you guys. Jane Wallace, good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. Anybody else lurking in the chat? If I haven't said hello to you as well, good to see you guys all here. How many? Like, the numbers are not going... Like, I don't see a point where migration is going to drop right now because of the global migration is only going to get worse. You know, not just because of there's war-torn and conflicts, but also climate as well. You know, it's becoming uninhabitable many places in parts of the world. Uninhabitable for people. And they're just going to leave their countries and come to Europe or go to the UK because of where we're situated. So it's we got to help these countries where they come from. And reducing foreign aid is one of the biggest problems as well. America and the UK reducing their foreign aid is only exacerbating global migration as well, because that aid helps some of these poorer countries as well. Like, some people think it's a complete waste of money, and they decide to spend more on defense. What are we going to spend more on defense with? What are we going to do? Build a bloody wall? Like, we don't even have the army for it. We're losing actually army soldiers because less and less people are appealed to the army anyway. So all we're doing is building more drones. Thank you, Alistair Keir, for the 5 gifted membership. Random Scottish History, DJ Mardy Moo, Roger Devine, Terry Regan, and Louise McGee have all been gifted membership. Thank you for your kind support, Alistair Keir. It's very, very generous of you. He is a serial gift killer. Yeah, very, very generous man he is. Yeah. Like, here's the thing. Like, are they actually going to, like, so-called smash the smuggling gangs? Like, are we going to see before the end of this parliament the smashing of the gangs? No. This is already a failure. Since coming to power, the government has announced a series of measures to tackle people smuggling, including a new criminal offence for endangering the lives of others at sea. The Border Security, Asylum and Immigration Bill currently going through Parliament sets out Labour's plans to treat people smugglers like terrorists, with suspects facing travel bans, social media blackouts and phone restrictions. Hamas spokesperson said, we all want to end dangerous small boat crossings, which threaten lives and undermine our border security. Well, then set up legal routes so that people don't have to make the crossing. Zoe Gardner, immigration expert, she has been banging on about this time and time again. She knows this shit inside out. She says, set up safe, legal routes, and you will avoid this. We can stop this literally tomorrow. You can stop the small boats crossings literally tomorrow. But the government, just like the Conservatives, are making a political and conscious choice to allow it to happen, which costs innocent lives. It is a political choice to allow migrants to die crossing those shores. Stephen Banker, thank you so much for the £2 super chat from Ollie for his penguin companion. Oh, that's very much appreciated, my friend. Thank you so much. The UK is F right now. It's sad. Not as bad as the US right now, but it certainly feels that way. Craig and Ocean 33 on Twitch. It's pretty simple to stop it, lol. Well, safe and legal routes. Safe and legal routes will kill these small boats crossings. The people smuggling gangs do not care if the vulnerable people they exploit live or die. As long as they pay, we will stop at nothing to dismantle the business model and bring them to justice. And the thing is that it's all well and good saying this, but like you can coordinate with France and with other European countries as much as you want about the smuggling gangs. But if people want to come to the UK, they're going to do whatever it takes. You know, even if it kills them. Even if it kills them. Alistair Keir, thank you so much for the £2 super chat. Hopefully Canada votes right. Yeah, I hope so too, my friend. I hope so too. And thank you, Steve. Oh, guys, you've been really generous today. Thank you. Steve went on with the $2 New Zealand to complete the super chat goal. Thank you so much, guys. Alistair and Steve, you guys have been so generous, both this morning and today. Thank you, guys. Really, really kind. I really appreciate your support, guys. Hoping in Canada gets fixed with the elections today. I hope Canada just votes for what's best for my hope is that Canadians vote for what's best for Canada. You know, I don't know enough about Canadian politics to comment on it, but I just hope they vote for what's best for them. That's the most important thing. But yeah, you guys have been very generous today. Thank you guys so much for your support. I really appreciate it. That's why this government has put together a series of plans to take down these networks at every stage. Official forecasts estimate 5,400 migrants have been prevented from arriving on the UK in small boats through returns, arrests, or individuals being prevented from departing France. Well, that's still very good, but still we've reached 10,000 already, and we're not even halfway through the year. The Conservative Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philps blames Labour's scrapping of the last government's Rwanda scheme for the rise. What a fucking dumbass! Sorry, Chris Philps is an absolute dumbass. Like, how many times have I talked about how shit the Rwanda scheme is? He doesn't know anything. We know deterrents work, he told the BBC. Based on what, you wally? It stands to reason that if somebody illegally crossing the channel from France ends up somewhere like Rwanda, they won't bother attempting the crossing in the first place. If only Chris Phillips knows that some of them, not only do they not, some of them don't even know if that Rwanda scheme was in place. They don't care. They're still going to try and cross with or without the Rwanda scheme in place. If only he had half a brain, guys. Sakir Starmer's claims to be smashing the gangs are laughable. They lie in tatters, Phillips added. Haiti Cisco, good to see you there. Hope you're doing well on Twitch. Lib Dem Home Affairs spokesperson Lita Smart said the figures were concerning. Yeah, they are concerning. Afterward, the Conservatives trashed our asylum system, allowing criminal gangs to act with impunity. The Labour government has failed to get a grip and turn things around, she said. All we want is to stop these dangerous channel crossings, and that starts by improving our cooperation with our international partners. No, that's not enough. You can improve all you want with international partners. You can stop a lot of gang smuggling. But you will not stop it until you create safe and legal routes for people to come to the UK. Unless you're Ukrainian, unless you're from Hong Kong, there is no safe and legal route for you to come to the UK. Reform UK leader Nigel Farage told the BBC, if this carries on at this rate, by the end of this Labour government, another 250,000 people will come into this country, many of whom don't fit our culture and will cost us a fortune. He claimed Reform were the only party that says unless you deport those that come illegally, they will continue to come. This will not work. They will still keep coming. They will still keep coming. Reform's plans, they will not fix the immigration system. Reform in government will not fix the immigration system. And when they don't fix the system, they will blame the European Convention on Human Rights. They will blame Parliament. They will blame anyone. They'll point the finger at anyone and anyone. When they go into power, as soon as they get into power, and they will get into power at some point, unfortunately, Reform. Do you know what they're going to do? They're not going to be able to fulfill their promise. But what they'll do is they will blame everyone else. They'll say, it's not us, it's the ECHR. It's not us, it's Parliament holding us back. It's not us, it's the UK courts. They'll keep blaming someone else for their problems. They will never say it's our fault. It's always something else. Oh, if it wasn't for the legal system, we could only deport them. Oh, if it wasn't for the European Convention on Human Rights, then we could deport them. Oh, if it wasn't for Parliament constantly harassing us and everything, we could deport them. If it wasn't for the House of Lords holding things back, we could deport them. This is what you're going to get from Reform. Blame, 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 blame. That's what you're going to get from them. Thank you, Alistair Keir, for the £5 super chat. Yeah, Chris Phillips is a fucking wally. Yeah, he is. That's not what he said. He said, spicy REGANELITE fake. Excellent. Yeah, but he is a fucking wally. I think we can all agree with that. Sorry, I just have to say that. No worries, Mad Monk. Thanks for popping in, my friend. And take care. Take care as always. Much appreciated, my friend. Thank you. Much appreciated. Guys, we've gone quite a bit already here. I think we take a little bit of a break here, but believe it or not, I got a phone call from. I haven't even switched it properly over. There we go. Colin from Portsmouth is back, guys. I switched to the wrong screen, as you guys can see there. Whoops, that failed there. But yeah, let's just dive straight into it. Colin from Portsmouth. Let's hear what he's had to say, guys. It's been a while. Where has this man been? Well, we're about to find out.
Colin from Portsmouth is on the line. Hello, Colin.
I am
am disgusted, Anthony. Absolutely disgusted.
Sorry. I know we haven't heard from you for a while. You got American, Colin? Is this because Penny Mordaunt's become head of Big Tobacco?
Pure sex, that woman. No. I've been in America. And if you can't be bothered to assimilate when you're in another country, you should be deported. Yeah. That's what I tell all the immigrants, except the English people in Spain. They're fine.
Of course. Did you go to America? Why then? Why did you go to America, Colin?
Their tourism was dropped off because the rest of the world are traitors. I'm showing my appreciation to Trump, just like Farage does.
Yes.
Apart from those times when it doesn't suit him politically. The raging hypocrite.
Plus the dollar's weaker than it's ever been. So good for us.
It's here, mate.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
God bless unprecedented economic mismanagement. So I've gone to Disneyland and I've gone for the full tourist experience and been deported to a jail in El Salvador.
You've been deported, Colin?
And rightly so. You don't know how much of a wrong'un I might be.
No.
And those ICE agents, they are delightful, mate. Anyone complaining about those guys is a snowflake. You answer me this, right? If they're Nazis, then why have they got American accents, eh?
You haven't committed a crime, Colin.
Oh, you're so 2024, Anthony. Just like two-tier bloody Keir Starmer you are. Anyway, mate, gotta go. The guards are flinging a bowl full of porridge at us in a minute. I'll keep your mouth open in case I catch any.
Good
Thanks
for you.
for having me on. Amor de la familia.
Amor a la familia, Colin. Love to the family.
It's not weird going to Disneyland without any children.
Colin...
No, it's not. He's absolutely right. Anyone who says otherwise is weird. There's nothing wrong with going to Disneyland on your own without kids. There's nothing wrong with going to the cinema on your own. And whatever you do on your own in the bedroom is your own business. You've been told. I wasn't supposed to say that last part, but I said it anyway. Just a reminder, guys, thank you all for being here. If you're on Twitch, make sure you hit that follow button. Hit that bell notification icon so you'll be notified when I go live. If you're here on YouTube, hitting that like, share, and if the notifications are not working on the YouTube, guys, and that's not just for me, for any YouTuber, turn your notification off and on for that YouTuber to fix it. It's something that YouTube, it's a problem that's YouTube. It's not the YouTubers, it's the YouTube problem. Doesn't seem to be getting fixed. So if you aren't getting those notifications, do apologise, but it is a YouTube problem, guys. There. And thank you everyone for your support, and Alistair Keir and Stephen Moore being very generous today. But if you want to financially support me, the work I do, you can become a YouTube member as well for as little as 99p here on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube and you're watching on Twitch and you still want to financially support me in the work that I do, you can also support me on Patreon, guys. Got plenty of content that's going to be dropping on Patreon, and you can join for a small fee. I actually get a bigger percentage of cut on Patreon as well, so do consider checking that out. Link for that is in the description below, as well as on Rumble. Do exclusive content on there as well, so do feel free to check that out, guys. So thank you all for your for listening. Let us go back to regular scheduled programming. Sky News here, guys, with NHS prescription charges in England are going to be frozen for the first time in 3 years. The government says the freeze will keep the prescriptions under £10 and will help with the cost of living. Now, some people will say this isn't really that big of a deal. And yes, this is something that Conservatives did as well at some point as well. But it is a positive. It's not the biggest positive from the Labour government, but it is still something to say, okay, this will help people. This will help people. I mean, I personally would like them to reduce all our bills, if I'm personally honest, like council tax, water, energy, you know, those main bills, you know, the council tax one in particular. You know, I'd like all those bills to go down or freeze at least. Me personally, that's how I personally feel. But still, this is one that will help. It will help people in England, that is for sure, especially when they can be considered life or death situation for some of these prescriptions. We still have an issue with where medicines people not being able to still get all their medicines from the pharmacies because of how difficult it is to get medicines from the European Union since we left. Guess what? Brexit benefit there, harder to get your medicines as well. So that's still problematic, unfortunately. But I do hope in all seriousness that the government does get that sorted, because we're talking about people, you know, how important it is for medicines to get to people. And I really do hope that they get that sorted in all seriousness. So NHS prescriptions and charges in England will be frozen for the first time in 3 years, the government has announced. It means that the cost of prescription will be kept under the cost of £10 at £9.90, and the move the government says will deliver £18 million in savings for patients. Meanwhile, a 3-month prescription prepayment certificate, PPC, will be frozen at £32.05p, while a 12-month PPC will remain at £114.50. The announcement comes as voters across England head to the polls on Thursday for local council elections. Health Secretary Wes Streeting said, fixing our NHS will be a long road, but by working closer with our pharmacies, we're saving money and shifting care to our communities where it's closer to your home. Yeah, he's saying that obviously because he's trying to encourage people to stop going to the hospital and try and deal things out at home so that we can actually save beds for those who desperately need it. We made the difficult but necessary choices at the budget to fund moves like this and change our NHS so once again it could be there for you when you need it. NHS prescription charges apply in England only, with Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales abolishing the fee after devolution. The last time they were frozen was in 2022 under Boris Johnson's Conservative government, where it was also used to help people with the rising cost of living. Around 89% of prescriptions in England are already dispensing free of charge, including for children, over 65s, pregnant women and people with certain medical conditions. Annual charges can be made to instalments, allowing those who need regular medicine to spend just over £2 a week. Yeah, I had to pay for my prescribed medicine when I was sick, didn't I? I've still got to finish it off here, guys. I've still actually got it here, believe it or not. Though I've already taken it. I have to take it one a day. I mean, it helps. Yeah, it's a small help, and it's not the same as for the rest of the UK, but. You know, it's a little something to try and get people to woo people over. It's a little something. It's better than nothing, I will say. But it does feel a bit like here's some breadcrumbs, and it's just like okay, like it's still not going to make me vote Labour. Like it might sway one or two people maybe who rely on prescriptions, but I don't think it's going to woo people too much. If I'm honest. I think it's more about the local issues more than anything here. Right, let me pause this video. Right, unfortunately, because the Independent always likes to put 10,000 ads on their feed, it might stutter a little bit when I come to it. So this one from the Independent. I think my video is already stuttering because I can see myself. I'm looking at myself now. I'm stuttering. Equalities watchdog under pressure to scrap new guidance on trans people using single-sex spaces. The interim guidance published by the Equalities watchdog risks ousting trans people and breaching human rights campaigners warn. So I was kind of hoping that they would turn on this before I go live, but they haven't. Obviously, we looked at Carla Denya's opinion piece on this, and yeah, the guidance is... I've looked at the guidance, and it's just like... they've not taken into account the trans community, LGBT community. They've not inputted their side in this at all. And this will only just get taken to the European Court of Human Rights, and they'll be told, no, you're not protecting their rights in this. You need to fix this. And their voice needs to be put on the matter. It is not enough just to keep talking about women's rights all the time here. Yes, women need to be protected from men. No one is debating that. No one is denying that. But right now, in my honest opinion, I don't think women are safe right now because of these changes. All this does creates an air of confusion. Unnecessary confusion. And we need clarity. We don't have that right now. So the Equalities watchdog is under pressure to withdraw its interim guidance on single-sex spaces in the wake of the Supreme Court's ruling on gender after campaigners dubbed it a bigoted attempt to segregate trans people in public spaces. The Equalities and Human Rights Commission, the EHRC, has been accused of breaching trans people's rights, with campaigners saying it only forces them into inappropriate spaces but it also risks ousting them. Comes after the Supreme Court ruled that trans women are not legally women under the Equalities Act, which means that transgender women without gender reconciliation certificate can be excluded from single-sex spaces if proportionate. While gender-critical campaigners have hailed the ruling as a victory for biological women, it's not a victory. Oh my god, my screen nearly went off there. Sorry, I got distracted. Something happened on my phone. Sorry about that. Let me read that again. While gender-critical campaigners have hailed as the ruling as a victory for biological women, there are concerns that it will put trans people at risk and exclude them from public life. That's exactly what it does. Because they don't know what toilet they're supposed to go in. They should be able to go without any problems. They should be able to go into the same changing rooms. But they're being told no. Interim guidance published by the Equalities watchdog in the wake of the ruling said that trans women should not be permitted to use women's facilities in workplaces or public-facing services like shops and hospitals. So where are they supposed to go? It also says that in some circumstances the law also allows trans biological men to not be permitted to use men's facilities and trans men biological women to not be permitted to use the women's facilities. It's unclear what these circumstances or who are expected to make such decisions. Exactly. It's not clear. While the guidance adds that trans people should not be put in a position where there are no facilities for them to use, like this screams like, well, what the like for me, it's like, are you fucking kidding me? This is the thing that infuriates me more than anything here. It says all that, and then it says trans people should not be put in a position where there are no facilities for them to use. Well, where the fuck are they supposed to go? Where they can be cut, when they can, live their lives as normal. That statement there in the guidelines, it pisses me off more than anything. Trans activist and model Marine Bulgov dubbed it a tool of humiliation designed with the intention of stoking and escalating flames of British transphobia. Yep, that's exactly what it does. Meanwhile, Stephen Richards, CEO of trans campaign group Translate, told The Independent that the guidance is likely to force trans people to out themselves, which he said would be in breach of the Article 8 of the European Convention of Human Rights, which guarantees the rights for respect for private life, and that's not being guaranteed right now. She said, let's say there's a trans woman working in an office in London somewhere, and the company turns around and says you can no longer use the female loo. And perhaps only one or two people know that she's a trans woman. If she suddenly no longer goes into a ladies' loo and she trots off on all fours down to find a gender neutral too, that is ousting her. That is our violation, in my view, of Article 8 of the European Convention of Human Rights. Boom. This is coming to it's going to the ECHR. Robin Moore-White, a discrimination and employment law barrister, agreed, saying the guidance would appear to be incompatible with trans people's rights under the ECHR and warned it would have a horrific effect on trans lives. Helen Baker, chair of the campaign group Transaxual, said the officials have clearly not thought through any of the vast and disturbing consequences raised by the Supreme Court's ruling. The idea has promised this week by Keir Starmer that there is now clarity as a result of this ruling, and we can just all get on with our lives is pathetic and demonstrates a willful ignorance of the law and realities in this area, she said. Yeah, this shows just how bloody stupid Keir Starmer is. Absolutely stupid. Ms. Bleacher warned that Labour is currently supporting rhetoric and measures that place the UK on a collision course with the European Convention on Human Rights and exposes us as a nation now wedded to hate and discrimination. Instead, she urged the government to step up, engage with us meaningfully and decide to protect all citizens, not just a loud, hateful few. The EHRC guidance comes as the Prime Minister said he no longer believes trans women are women in the wake of the ruling, which he said brought clarity to the situation. No, it did not. The Prime Minister has since said the government's approach is to protect single-sex spaces based on biological sex and ensure that trans people are treated with respect and dignity in their everyday lives. Okay, sure. I do not think this is the time to lower the temp. I do think this is the time to lower the temperature, to move forward and to conduct this debate with care and compassion that it deserves. It added. The Green Party has urged the EHRC to withdraw its guidance, saying it is ill-conceived and impractical. Yet we spoke about that already. It's always spoke about the... I'm not going to read this because we already covered it this morning. Tory leader Kemi Bagnott said the issue in which toilets trans people should use is not as complex a situation as often it made out to be. Oh, okay. Oh, sure. Excuse me. I'm sure Kemi. It's not that it's not that hard. Kemi says. Kemi says it's not that hard, guys. So it should all be fine. The thing is that it's created. The biggest problem isn't trans people. It is predatory men who use lax rules to say, oh, actually, I'm a woman now. I'm going to use women lose. She told ITV's Good Morning Britain. Oh my God. If there is no law, there is no... Sorry, there is no fucking law that says that women can't go in men's toilets, or men can't go in women's toilets. Okay, there's no law stating that. Where no one is going to fucking police single toilets. No one's going to fucking police that. And if they do, they're fucking morons. The only predatory men are... I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to be careful with my words here because, like, I'm really pissed off that trans people are being weaponized here, and that's what they are. They're being weaponized here. The minority community is being weaponized in this, and it's. I just hate this. I don't have the right words to put into context, so. Asked the trans people should have separate toilet facilities. She said, almost all businesses I've seen have disabled loos. They are unisex, different from gender neutral. Trans people can use those, but if you are providing a single sex space, it has to be a single sex space. Well, not everyone has a disabled toilet. Not everyone can afford to have another toilet when they've only got men or women's one. Ms. Bagonot spoke just days after Labour Minister Karen Smith was unable to say which changing rooms transgender women should use after the Supreme Court ruling. Look, I think we need to make sure that in this discussion we are following both the law and it's clear for women and for service providers. And you know the very department for what provisions of those services provide are large organisations, smaller organisations, many smaller organisations. She told Radio Times Radio. Excuse me. Asked why various Miss Smiths responded, because some will have unisex provisions. There might only be one bathroom, one changing room in an organisation. It's a large, complex issue. That's why people have to be very clear on the guidance. The government has been contacted for comment. They have not contacted. This needs to be addressed now, not yesterday. And clearly, they're not. They're not taking this seriously enough. I'm sorry to those who... I do apologise, yeah, I keep bringing up this issue. But it is so infuriating how they are treating this issue. Yeah, it's just... I'm just pissed off about it all because, you know, for me, like, I'm a white male, okay? It's not my place to speak on... You know, I'm just giving my viewpoints and how I feel about this. What my take is that I want everyone to have equal rights, equal opportunities, equal fair share in life. You know, and I want the rights of trans people to be respected. That's just what I want. I want their rights to be respected. I just want their rights to be respected so that they can go about their lives as they want. And I just feel like that there is a minority of people. There's organisations out there who are trying to use trans people as a means to stoke culture war, unnecessary culture war, and that's all it is. That's all it is to stoke culture wars, to try to claim that there's some kind of threat when there's nothing there. There's literally nothing there. That's all it is, to stoke unnecessary hatred and rhetoric, instead of pointing your fingers at the millionaires and billionaires. The think tanks, all these people who are bankrolling politicians to say and go do things in a certain way. It's worth knowing that it's not illegal to use gender bathrooms that you identify with. Thank you for that clarification, Ginger Lefty. Appreciate it. Let's move away from the subject. This last piece here from Byline Times, guys. So, how the BBC Flawed, Impartiality, Scuppered, a podcast about a heating system. What? The former BBC producer and reporter Patrick House explores the latest worrying sides of BBC's flawed interpretation of impartiality. So I've already read this, but it was fascinating to read because we know exactly how the BBC operate in Scotland. My friends in Scotland can speak for themselves about the impartiality of this. But a podcast about a heating system, how does that become impartiality? How does that become a problem? How does that become a problem? Well, let's find out. We are 0.43% of the population, says Ginger Lefty. Like, you're not even 1%. Yeah, like it's a small proportion, but still, you're being discriminated against, and it's like, just like for me, it's just like, leave them fucking alone. That's my message. Like, just let them live their lives. Like, they're not a threat to anyone. But they're trying to make a situation out of something that's not even there. That's how I feel about it. Don't worry, the European Convention on Human Rights will step in. I'm fairly sure that I'm not the only regular BBC listener who had no idea that Evan Davis, a presenter of Radio 4 PM programme, had been hosting a non-BBC podcast about heat pumps since 2024. In fact, the first I've heard of this sideline was the news that the BBC had told him that he couldn't do it anymore. Davis hosted 20 Happy Heat Pump podcasts after being permissioned to do so by BBC managers. The podcast explored how heat pumps work, their advantages and drawbacks, and the contribution they can make to net zero 2050, the UK's drive towards long-term reduction of carbon emissions. The last edition of the podcast began with the news that the plug was being pulled. Davis appeared sad about the philosophical. I take their shilling, he said. Referring to the BBC's managers, they dictate the rules. They know they have to keep their presenters out of areas of public controversy, and they have decided that heat pumps can be controversial. Doesn't heat pumps save money? I mean, like, and it contributes towards net zero? How is that a controversy? Where's the controversy in a podcast about goddamn heat pumps? And he literally says here, explores how heat pumps work, their advantages and drawbacks. It's not perfect, but yet for some reason it's controversial. He was quite explicit about the reasoning behind the BBC's decision to stop him hosting the non-BBC podcast. I think the timetable set of net zero is slightly in play as an issue politically, and so people want us to not go full on net zero 2050 will pick on problems with heat pumps. I had this argument with the BBC. It's more about net zero than about this particular form of heating. See, this is this right here is the problem when you have politicians. We know the BBC, I said this about the BBC chairman, should not be appointed by any governments. It should not be by independent bodies. But also you have people on the BBC board who are politicians or links to Conservatives or Labour politicians that have influence in the BBC. This is problematic. The whole board needs to go, and it needs to be no politicians or any links. People on the BBC board, because it's a state broadcaster, the BBC must not have anyone on its board or its chairman have any links whatsoever to any political parties. That's what it needs to be. It needs to be that impartial. I mean, this story is just a nonce. Like, it's about heat pumps. A podcast about heat pumps, guys. And apparently it's a problem. His co-host Ben Beanland of the Heat Pump Federation put it even more starkly. It does seem to me that somehow we, the technologies that we espouse, have fallen victims of some sort of culture war. The BBC guidelines state that staff and regular presenters of reporters who associate its news or public policy related output may offer professional judgments rooted in evidence, which would appear to provide Davis leeway to be involved in the podcast. But they also state that it is not normally appropriate for them to present or write personal views on public policy, matters of political or industrial controversy or controversial subjects in any area. It is clear that the BBC has been wrestling with the concept of controversy and what impartiality means and how it should be applied. Sadly, it appears to offer confused impartiality, with both sides presenting two opposing views and allowing the audience to make up its mind. This is all well when there is legitimate debate to be had, when there's a genuine difference of opinions between honest people of goodwill. And the problem is that our public discourse is now dominated by dishonest people who lie routinely. For figures such as Vladimir Putin or Donald Trump, and there are plenty of domestic examples in the UK, lying is a practical tool, and the intention is to make people distrust everything, to confuse them about what the facts of an issue are, to doubt, in fact, if there is actually such a thing as the truth. People who cannot be sure of any objective truth are easier to control. Its funny notion of impartiality sees the corporation output slip into he say this, but she says that narratives only intensify confusion rather than calling out lies and telling the audience the factual truth. As we saw during the Brexit years and the pandemic, giving equal weight to people who tell lies or mislead and people who intend on presenting facts that may superficially look like impartiality, but this model of impartiality in effort takes the sides of the lies because the truth is not the midpoint between the fact and a lie. The climate crisis is another topic that has fallen foul of this approach in the past. Most notoriously when the former Chancellor and Lord Nigel Lawson was invited onto Radio 4 Today programme to talk about global warming, even though he had no expertise on the subject and his views contradicted of those of everyone who did. And the BBC admitted they had been a mistake. But this is a continuing process, a process that has seen experts with views formed by peer review, fact-based research being balanced against right-wing columnists, spokesmen, and one of the stock think tank interviewees that hard-pressed producers turn to when they feel they need to appear impartial. This charade offers no real balance at all and can create impressions among the BBC's audiences that there are two equal sides to the debate when there are not. As Evan Davis has discovered, there are signs that the BBC now views net zero as controversial, and so presumably as suitable subject for this matter, a kind of for psycho balance. There is a problem of who is in charge of this impartiality. So Robbie Gibb, Theresa May's former spin doctor, and a current BBC board member, plays an influential role in the enforcement of impartiality, now being well known among his former colleagues at BBC Westminster and Newsnight as a right-winger conservative who has been intent on driving that agenda. And why is nothing being done about this? Good evening, Leapskin. Good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. I've been down a breakdance rabbit hole tonight, hence my late coming. No worries. It's all good. Appreciate you popping in nonetheless. As one former colleague told me, Robbie was a culture warrior before anyone knew what a culture war was. Gibb was, of course, famously referred to by the BBC presenter Emily Mateus as an active agent of the Conservative Party. I've argued previously in these pages about his unsuitability for any involvement with the BBC. Unfortunately, his influences on the BBC mismanagement and output appears to have been significant and malign, and the confused practical application of the deeply flawed model of impartiality has given ample opportunity to skew its coverage. It seems Evan Davis, a well-intended attempt to discuss an alternative method of domestic heating, has become the latest victim of his process set in motion by Gibb. And Patrick House is a former BBC reporter and producer, for those who don't know. Yeah. So basically, if you haven't got the logistics of it, basically, they have to have a climate X. If they talk about net zero, they have to have someone for it, and they have to have someone against it to show their impartiality. When the reality is they shouldn't have somebody against it, but that's what they'll do. That's what they'll try to do. I know, it's so stupid, the BBC. They still have good programming and stuff, but just outside. But when it comes to the politics, guys, it's just so frustrating. Yeah, like I said, Stephen Baker. Yeah, you got to turn off notifications off and on, but it's fine. It's not your fault. Things happen. It's all well and good, buddy. But guys, I have one last video to see ourselves out before we go. Like I said, on my super chats, the money would go to supporting the Democratic Penguins Republic space program. Space program, Regan. What space program are you referring to? Oh, yeah. This space program. I do hope it works. This space program.
O sons of ice, now rise and fly. The frost has come to claim the sky. Our rocket shaped in sacred snow take our banner wherever they may go. We bring control to cosmic ground, where their idols drift around. Before their claws reach out too far, we mobilize and claim the stars. Oh, mother, motherland, your children fly on wings of steel through the endless sky. Penguins rise from a frozen land and take the stars with iron hand. Our seals patrol the void with pride. When a Tesla nears, they burn the ride. The tycoon dreams of Martian birth. We raise the flag and salt the earth. Let Mars be cold, it's nothing new. Born in ice, we march right through. We claim the stars, we set the pace. No room for clowns in outer space. Oh, mother, motherland, your children fly on wings of steel through the endless sky. Penguins rise from a frozen land and take the stars with iron hand.
I do love the Tesla. I do love the Tesla there. They took out the Tesla, guys. Go support Demon Flying Fox, guys. A YouTube channel that makes lots of AI videos. The last couple of penguin videos have been by them, and this is the latest one he done on space program. A link for it is in the description, so please do check out his YouTube channel and do watch it on there. Give it a like, leave a comment or two. Pingu there was very pleased with the space work. He wasn't like, of course they're still having their battles with Donald Trump, but you know, Pingu didn't tell me about the space program until only today. So he only informed me about it today, but you know, it still just goes to show, guys, that I'm still not being told everything by Pingu and all the boys and all the people at the Democratic Penguins Republic. Like, I know he works with Briggs, but this whole space program, this is all new to me, guys. This is all new to me. As Ollie is also, I want to share with you guys the rest of the gang before we go. Ollie the octopus there, who turned off the orb. Cash Dummy the Cookie Monster there says hello. And Blaze, the Charmander Pokemon there, is also hiding behind the lava lamp. We do have our own lava lamp and all of its glory. And you can have all the emojis of all these guys when you are a YouTube member. Just remember that. And once we reach a certain level of members, we will unlock new emojis for the Democratic Penguins Republic and more. Maybe we'll have more. Maybe even we'll add a badger to the crew someday, guys. Maybe indeed. So, guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's come along. Thank you, Alistair Keir and Steve McMahon, for not just today, for your contributions today, but also for this live stream, but also this morning. Very, very generous of you guys, both of you guys. I really appreciate it so much. Thank you, guys, for your support. Thank you to everyone who's come tonight, for leaving your comments, your feedback and all that stuff, both on YouTube and on Twitch. I know not much conversation on Twitch, but I appreciate those who came around on Twitch nonetheless. It's much appreciated, of course. I will be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. with another Good Morning Show. We'll be looking at some of the world news, see what some of the stories have been going on around the news. Obviously, we'll have a peek and see what Canada's election will be going. I'll also have the Snowflake Corner taking place at 6 p.m. So do join me for that as well. And then, of course, on Wednesday, there'll be Prime Minister's Questions, as well as the Snowflake Watch. There'll be no Good Morning Show on Wednesday because I'm already doing 2 live streams. I might one day try 3 live streams in one day, but that might be a bit excessive if I'm honest. But, yeah, but I'll be back again tomorrow at 8 a.m. So thank you guys again for all coming along. Enjoy the rest of your weeks, whatever you guys are doing. If you can, try to get out in the weather. The weather is really, really nice. Where I am, hopefully the weather where you are is really, really good too. Just try not to get sunburned if possible. But before I go, I just have one last thing to say. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. It'd be greatly appreciated. And share this across social media so others are notified of this video. If you haven't subscribed already or you're not following on Twitch, please consider doing so. And if you want to go one step further and financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. You can also join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching. And I hope to catch you all very, very soon.